Please, somebody help my little girl." The whisper left Adrian Valdez's lips like a dying ember, fragile and fading before it even reached the darkness around him. But the only response was the same sound that haunted him for nearly a year, a piercing, soul-splitting scream that erupted from the second floor of the mansion every single night. From the outside, the Valdez estate in Polanco was postcard perfection. 3 acres of manicured gardens, white marble steps polished to a shine, fountains lit with soft golden light. Wealth radiated from every corner, but inside lived a truth money could not silence. At 9 p.m., precisely, the illusion shattered. 7-year-old Camila's cries ripped through the air. Not ordinary cries, not the sound of pain or frustration. These were screams born from pure terror, as if something unseen stood at her door every night waiting for the clock to strike. Doctors had insisted it was her cerebral palsy, chronic pain, neurological discomfort. They wrote prescriptions. They gave advice. They raised eyebrows at Adrian's stress. But none of them saw the way Camila's eyes latched onto the doorway every night, wide and unblinking, watching, waiting, as if she saw something they didn't. Earlier that day, the newest nanny packed her bags and quit. "I can't stay here. Senor Valdez," she whispered, trembling as she clutched her coat to her chest. Her eyes, they don't look like they hurt. They look like they're begging. And last night, her voice cracked. I heard footsteps, heavy ones, in the hallway, and the basement door. She swallowed. "You told me it was locked." Adrian had brushed it off. Stress, fatigue, paranoia, anything other than admitting the truth pressing on his heart like a weight. 5 nannies in 4 months, all leaving with the same haunted expression. Now alone in his office, surrounded by trophies, contracts, and evidence of successful life, Adrian finally understood there was one thing his money could not buy: relief from his daughter's screams. And the next afternoon, without knowing it, he would open the door to the woman who would change everything, Aisha Brown. Aisha arrives. Aisha stepped off the bus with her breath caught somewhere between fear and determination. The mansion loomed over her, too big, too silent, too polished. Back home in her cramped apartment in Guerrero, her 3 children were waiting, rent overdue, bills stacked on the counter, the fridge barely holding enough food to scrape the week. She needed this job, but the moment she crossed the threshold of the Valdez mansion, she felt something else, a heaviness in the air, a thickness, as if the walls were holding their breath. Adrian greeted her in his study, his hands trembling despite his attempt to appear composed. "I'll be honest with you, Ms. Brown," he said, voice rough. "My daughter has severe cerebral palsy. Nights are difficult. The last 5 nannies didn't last." Aisha met his gaze without flinching. "And you," she asked, "are you here when she cries like that? Or does she spend those hours alone?" The question hit him like a blow. No one, no doctor, no therapist, had ever asked him that. "I work late," he muttered. "I have responsibilities." "She has only one father," Aisha said gently. "She cannot choose another the way your employees can." For a moment, the air shifted. Something cracked in Adrian's expression. Not anger, not shame, but the beginning of accountability. "I'll take the job," Aisha said, "but on one condition." What condition? 1 hour every night. Just you and her. No phone. No business. No excuses. A long silence stretched. Then he nodded. "Deal." Camila's room. When Aisha entered Camila's room for the first time, she froze. The air felt thick, like walking into a place where someone had cried for months without anyone listening. The pink canopy was perfect, untouched. The shelves lined with porcelain dolls stared with glassy eyes. Nothing looked lived in. Nothing looked loved. Then she saw Camila, tiny, fragile, her hands curled, her green eyes impossibly alert, soaking in every detail, begging silently, "Please don't ignore me." Aisha knelt beside her. "Hi, sweetheart," she whispered. "My name is Aisha. I'm here now. You're not alone." For the first time that day, a tear slid from Camila's eye. 9 p.m., the screaming hour. As the clock blinked 8:59 p.m., Camila's fingers tightened around Aisha's sleeve. Then 9 o'clock. Camila shattered. A scream tore through her, raw, instinctive, animal-like. The scream of someone who wasn't hurting physically, but terrified down to her soul. Aisha scooped her into her arms. "It's okay, baby. I've got you. You're safe." But Camila wasn't looking at Aisha. She was staring at the door. Aisha heard it then. Footsteps. Heavy, slow, deliberate, coming down the hallway. The temperature dropped. Aisha's breath hitched. Every instinct screamed to run, but she stood her ground, because this child had spent too many nights alone. The footsteps stopped just outside the door. Camila thrashed wildly, eyes pleading, "Don't open it. Don't look. Don't let it in." But Aisha wasn't running. She walked toward the door, heart pounding so violently it hurt. Her hand closed around the knob. She threw it open. The hallway was empty, perfect, polished, silent, but at the far end just barely visible. The basement door stood open, unlocked, waiting. A chill crawled across Aisha's skin. She locked the bedroom door, shoved a chair against it, and rushed back to Camila. "It won't touch you," she whispered fiercely. "Not while I'm here." Camila sobbed until her small body finally collapsed in exhaustion. Aisha held her, awake all night, eyes trained on that door, because she knew this child wasn't crying from pain. She was crying from memory. The truth begins to unravel. The next morning, Adrian appeared in the doorway, looking like he hadn't slept in years. How was she?" he whispered. "Terrified," Aisha said, "but not from pain. Something is happening in this house." Adrian flinched. Aisha continued, "What's in the basement?" The color drained from his face. "No one goes down there," he whispered. "It's locked. It was open last night." Silence fell like a stone. Finally, Adrian sank onto a chair, burying his face in his hands. "There's something you don't know," he whispered, "about Camila's mother." He told Aisha about Isabella, loving, bright, but consumed by guilt after Camila's birth, about the late nights Isabella spent in the basement, claiming to research treatments, about the night he found her standing over Camila's crib with pills in her hand. "I stopped her," he said, voice breaking. "But 2 weeks later, she ended her life." Aisha swallowed hard. "Adrian," she whispered, "if Isabella is gone, then someone else is opening that door." His eyes widened in horror. Aisha took Camila's trembling hand. "We will face this," she said softly. "Together." The basement. That afternoon, the three of them stood before the basement door, the locks dangling open though Adrian swore he had locked them himself. Camila trembled violently. Her tears no longer fear, but recognition. They stepped inside. Cold darkness swallowed them. The lamp flickered on. Aisha gasped. It wasn't a basement. It was a lab. Tables, syringes, handwritten labels, stacks of photographs of Camila, charts listing medication levels, reactions, paralysis percentages. "This," Aisha whispered, voice cracking, "this isn't treatment. This is chemical imprisonment." Adrian's knees buckled. No, Isabella, she couldn't have. But the truth was written on the walls. Someone had been drugging Camila for years. Before Adrian could speak, a creak echoed through the stairwell. Footsteps, a silhouette, a woman, Monica, their trusted physical therapist. Expression cold, eyes emptied of remorse. "I knew you'd find this eventually," she said, "but I can't let you interfere. Camila deserves peace, permanent peace." A syringe glinted in her hand. Aisha stepped in front of Camila, voice low and steady. "Over my dead body." Monica lunged, and everything exploded into chaos. Stitch pushed the crate aside and crouched lower as bullets chewed into the metal behind them. Lily trembled violently, her breath hitching behind the duct tape. Reaper didn't waste a second. He fired 2 controlled shots toward the catwalk, where movement flickered, forcing the gunman to duck. "Stitch, smoke out." Reaper barked. Stitch reached into his vest, pulled a smoke grenade, yanked the pin, and rolled it across the concrete floor. The warehouse filled with a billowing gray haze, swallowing the chaos into a choking fog. Shadows scattered. The gunfire stuttered as the dealers lost sight of their targets. Reaper used a distraction like a blade. He gestured sharply, silent commands the steel demons knew in their bones. Hammer shifted right. Ghost melted into the haze on the left. Torque covered the rear. Reaper moved straight ahead, calm and deadly. Through the thick smoke, he saw the faint outline of Nanny, the drug dealer who had taken his daughter, holding a rifle, scanning the fog nervously. Nanny shifted too late. Reaper lunged from the smoke like a shadow with fangs. He slammed Nanny into a support beam, knocking the wind out of him. The rifle clattered away. Nanny wheezed, struggling to process what was happening. "You kidnapped the wrong kid," Reaper growled, voice low and lethal. Nanny spat blood, still trying to laugh. "Man, it wasn't personal. Just business." Reaper's fist ended the sentence. Nanny's nose crunched. Blood sprang across the beam. The man sagged, dazed. Reaper grabbed his shirt, slamming him again for good measure. "You grabbed my daughter off the street," Reaper said, bringing his face inches from Manny's. "You think that's business?" Manny's eyes darted wildly. The boss wanted leverage, wanted to send a message. "Look, man, I didn't hurt her." "You're damn right you didn't," Reaper said, ice in his voice. "Because if you had, you'd already be dead." A shout cut through the haze. "Reaper, left side." Hammer's warning came a split second before bullets tore through the air again. Reaper ducked behind the metal beam, dragging Manny with him like a shield. Manny squealed. "Tell your men to stand down," Reaper ordered. Manny shook his head frantically. "They won't listen." "Then they're going down with you," Reaper said. He shoved Manny forward just enough to make the gunman hesitate. No one wanted to shoot their own boss. Hammer and Ghost used the hesitation perfectly. 2 muffled shots. 2 bodies dropped. The warehouse fell silent, except for Lily's muffled sobs and the settling clatter of a spent rifle hitting the floor. Reaper dragged Manny by the collar toward the crates where Stitch had Lily secured. Kneeling down, he brushed soot and grime off her cheek. Her wide, terrified eyes fixated on him. "Hey, baby girl," he whispered, touching her forehead gently. "Daddy's here." Her body trembled harder, but the fear in her eyes shifted. Recognition fighting through the panic. Reaper pulled out his knife and cut the duct tape from her wrists, then peeled the tape off her mouth with slow, careful hands. The moment she was free, Lily didn't speak. She launched herself into his chest, arms fly around his neck, gripping him with a desperation only a child who has seen death could feel. Reaper cradled her tight, hand cupping the back of her head. "I got you," he whispered over and over, voice cracking for first time all night. "I got you. You're safe." Stitch exhaled, rubbing a hand over his face. "Jesus, boss didn't think you could still get scared." Reaper didn't look away from Lily. "My kids involved? I'm human for 5 seconds." Behind them, Manny tried crawling away. Ghost planted a boot between his shoulder blades, pinning him to the floor. Reaper stood slowly, Lily still clinging to his neck, like a tiny survivor. His face shifted from father to executioner in half a heartbeat. "You're going to lead us to your boss," Reaper said. Manny shook under Ghost's boot. I can't, man. He'll kill me." Reaper stepped closer, the darkness in his eyes colder than the warehouse air. "If you don't take us to him, I'll do it first." Manny swallowed hard. Okay, I'll take you." It was almost dawn when the convoy of steel demons rolled out, engines rumbling like thunder, exhaust glowing in the pre-dawn fog. Stitch secured Lily in the back seat of Reaper's SUV with blankets and a bottle of water. She hadn't let go of Reaper's jacket since he freed her. He stroked her hair. "You stay with Stitch, okay? I gotta finish this." Her bottom lip quivered. "Daddy, don't leave." Reaper crouched to meet her eyes. "I'll be right back. I promise." She sniffled, nodding reluctantly. Stitch squeezed her small hand. "I'll keep him in one piece, kiddo." Reaper smirked. "You couldn't keep a cactus alive." "Fair," Stitch admitted. When Reaper shut the door, the warmth left his expression. He turned to Manny, who sat handcuffed in the passenger seat of Torque's truck. "Where is he?" Reaper demanded. Manny pointed up the highway. "Old lumber mill. He's probably got 10 guys with him." "10's enough for breakfast," Hammer muttered. Reaper nodded. We end this. The lumber mill sat on the edge of the forest, a skeleton of rotting beams and rusted saws. Lights flickered inside. Manny's boss, Rico Vargas, was a ruthless dealer with a short temper and a shorter lifespan after the night. The steel demon spread out. Ghost climbed onto the roof silently, taking a sniper position. Hammer and Torque flanked the loading bay. Reaper walked straight to the front doors like he owned the place. Inside, Rico stood among his men, irritated and pacing. Manny should have been back hours ago. Someone go. The door crashed open. Reaper strode in, shotgun slung low, confidence radiating off him like smoke. Rico blinked. Are you insane? No, Reaper said. Just pissed. The first shot came from the rafters, Ghost Sniper taking out the guard on the catwalk. Chaos exploded instantly. Rico's men scrambled, guns firing wildly. Reaper dropped 2 of them before they even hit the ground. Hammer burst through the side door like a freight train, knocking a gunman across the sawdust-covered floor. Torque tackled another into a pile of crates. Stitch, late to the party but enjoying himself, swung a metal pipe into the last man standing. When the smoke cleared, Rico stood alone, gun shaking in his hand. You think you can walk in here like some hero? Rico stammered. I didn't touch the kid. You ordered it, Reaper said. Rico swallowed. I didn't know she was your daughter. You shouldn't take kids, Reaper said. Not anybody's. Rico fired in panic. Reaper moved faster. A single clean shot from his handgun caught Rico in the shoulder, sending him spinning to the ground. He screamed, clutching the wound. Reaper stepped over him. You're done. Rico spat blood. What, you gonna kill me? Reaper's jaw tightened. I want to, but Lily doesn't need that on my soul. He turned to Hammer. Call the cops. Give them Rico and the bodies. Let them clean the mess. Hammer nodded. Rico glared with hatred. This isn't over. Reaper crouched beside him. It was over the moment you touched someone's kid. By the time Reaper returned to the SUV, the sun was breaking over the horizon. Lily was awake, small hands fiddling with Stitch's sleeve anxiously. When she saw her father, her whole face lit up. Daddy. Reaper opened the door, and she jumped straight into his arms. He held her like she was made of glass, like she was the entire world. Because she was. You okay, baby girl? He murmured. She nodded against his chest. Are you okay? He kissed her forehead. Now I am. Stitch stretched his back with a groan. Well, I vote we get pancakes. I earned pancakes. Lily giggled softly, the sweetest sound Reaper had ever heard. Yeah, Reaper said, eyes softening. Let's go home. And for the first time since 3:47 p.m., David Reaper, Stone finally breathed.